Monday, April 22nd. What's coming up on the breakdown? Virginia's redistricting fight is now before the state Supreme Court. A judge has already blocked the voter approved maps. Now, justices will decide if they stand. And a mother is turning her personal journey into a powerful purpose. I sat down with Kim Cresswell, founder of J7 for Autism, supporting families and raising awareness in the community. Plus, we're talking to Jamal Shabazz about his Black Summer Youth Program. The breakdown starts now. As we start with a breakdown of the headlines and stories that you need to know about from across Black America. Virginia Supreme Court is taking up one of the lawsuits battling redistricting today. Oral arguments began at 9 o'clock this morning. Judges questioned whether the state's Democratic-led legislature complied with constitutional requirements when it sent a congressional redistricting plan to voters. Last Tuesday, voters approved a constitutional amendment that bypasses a bipartisan redistricting commission to allow the use of new districts drawn by Virginia's Democratic-led General Assembly. A day later, a Tazewell County Circuit Court judge voided Virginia's 2026 redistricting referendum, ruling all votes cast ineffective and blocking certification due to multiple constitutional and procedural violations. Republicans have filed multiple legal challenges against the redistricting effort. The GOP contend that the General Assembly violated procedural rules by placing a constitutional amendment before voters to authorize mid-decade redistricting. If the state Supreme Court agrees with the lower court ruling, the referendum results could be rendered moot. The suspect in the shooting at the White House Correspondents Association dinner on Saturday night is expected to be arraigned in U.S. District Court today. Investigators say 31-year-old Cole Allen of Torrance, California, traveled across the country to commit as much damage as he could. Allen was detained near the main Magnometer area for the event, with surveillance video showing the suspect running past security officials. Now, police say the suspect was tackled by law enforcement after gunfire inside the Washington Hilton, where thousands of journalists, as well as President Donald Trump and members of his cabinet, were all gathered for the annual event. Trump gave an exclusive interview on 60 Minutes as he recounted the moment's chaos erupted.
You see the security moving quickly, right, within seconds, grabbing the vice president by his coat, lifting him up, bringing him out. Then the counter assault comes in. Took 10 seconds for them to flank you, Mr. President, and then 20 seconds to get you out. It looked chaotic. At one point, you were down. What was happening?
Well, what happened is it was a little bit me. I wanted to see what was happening, and I wasn't making it that easy for him. I wanted to see what was going on. And by that time, we started to realize maybe it was a bad problem, different kind of a problem, bad one, and different than what would be normal noise from a ballroom, which you hear all the time. And I was surrounded by great people, and I probably made them act a little bit more slow. They said, wait a minute, let me see, wait a minute. So, I'm telling guys.
Just at that moment where it looks like you go sort of down with the service, you were telling them to wait?
Well, no, what happened is then I started walking with them. I started walking, and they said, please go down on the floor. So I went down, and First Lady went down also, but we were asked to go down by the agents as I was walking. In other words,
they wanted you almost to crawl.
I was standing up, pretty much. I was standing up and then turned around the opposite direction and started pretty much walking out, pretty tall, a little bent over because I'm not looking to be standing too tall. And but I was walking out. It was about halfway there, and they said, please go down to the floor, please go down to the floor. So I dropped to the floor, so did the First Lady.
Interim D.C. Metropolitan Police Department Chief Jeffrey Carroll told reporters that the suspect acted alone and was armed with a shotgun, a handgun, and multiple knives. Virginia Commonwealth University is committing $3.6 million to build a memorial honoring dozens of people, most of African descent, whose bodies were stolen from graves used for medical dissection and discarded in a well in the 1800s. The remains discovered in 1994 included men, women, and children, many showing signs of surgical experimentation. Now, through East Marshall Street Well Project, the university plans to create a burial site and memorial space. Leaders say the goal is to finally honor the lives that were once denied humanity. And Nebraska's first state-approved Black-funded school, Identity Preparatory Academy, is set to open this fall as an all-girls middle school focused on culturally responsive learning and academic excellence. Founded by Dernisha Phillips, the school was shaped directly by the voices of young girls and families through a program called Dreams of Our Daughters, where students help design everything from the curriculum to extracurricular activities. And at its core, the academy is built around what leaders call a culturally fortified education, ensuring that students see themselves reflected in their classrooms, their leadership, and their learning. Well, the movie Michael soared to a record-breaking $97 million opening weekend in North America and $217 million in globally, becoming the biggest debut ever for a music biopic. Despite mixed reviews and production setbacks, the movie hit the big screen April 24th and stars the late singer's nephew, Jafar Jackson, Nia Long, and Catherine and Coleman Domingo as Joe Jackson. Michael is the highly authorized portrayal of the king of pop, who died in 2009 at the age of 50. The movie was co-produced by the Jackson Estate and Lionsgate. It overcame controversy and costly reshoots to draw strong audience enthusiasm, with sequels already under consideration. Well, coming up after the break here on The Breakdown, an exhibition that's going beyond art to confront truth, healing, and the lived realities of Black women. Stay with us. You're watching The Breakdown.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
I'm Risa Colbert, and you're watching the Black Star Network.
Welcome back. Today on The Breakdown, we're talking about the truth, healing, and the power of art, all to confront what too often goes unspoken. A new exhibition in Harlem is creating space for just that, centering the lived experiences of Black women. Joining me now is Michael Unthank, board chair of the Children's Art Carnival, and Lysandra Ramos, co-curator of the exhibition Naming the Wound and Breaking the Spell. I want to thank you both for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about this exhibition. It's described as being more than just art, but really a space for survival, truth telling, and healing. Tell us a little bit about what it means to name the wound.
Well, let me start by just telling you a little bit about the carnival and why it's so appropriate for the exhibition to take place here. The Art Carnival, the Children's Art Carnival, was founded by the artist Betty Blayton Taylor, who's a Harlem icon. She was one of the founders of the Studio Museum in Harlem. And she established the carnival's programs, really targeting, providing art programs for young people, for children, with the vision that art is important whether you want to become an artist or not, to becoming a whole person. And so she established the organization here in Harlem on Hamilton Terrace back in 1974. And it's been going strong with some bumps in the road after Betty Blayton Taylor passed away in 2016. So more recently, we've been really focused on restarting our programs. So currently we provide participatory programs for young people, their families, and all the residents of our community, and as well as an ongoing exhibition program. We do believe in Betty's vision, which is providing a space, a safe space for experimentation, creativity for Black artists. And the Carnival has been a place for Black artists since its founding. In terms of the exhibition, which is just opened this past weekend, it's very beautiful, it's gorgeous. I want to introduce Lysandra, who is our partner in for several years, actually, as the executive director of the Centro Civico Cultural Dominicano. Lysandra, if you want to tell folks about the exhibition, they're looking at some images now.
Absolutely, absolutely. I am happy to be here, and I represent a group of people. I represent not only the Centro Cívico Cultural Dominicano, but also my partners in this work this year. My co-curator, of course, Jose Ortiz, who's a visual artist, and he's an alumni of Children's Art Carnival, along with Boosie Peters-Mon, who's the executive director and founder of Women Healing and Empowering Women, WHO. And they've been doing this work, or we have been partnering in doing reentry work for many years. The Centro this year was inspired by WHO's 5th cycle of the Be a Ripple movement, which is part of a program that they have that truly creates a space for raising this issue of sexual violence and ancestral trauma up, and trying to find ways to create not only resiliency, but true healing and a thriving existence once we move past this space of feeling like we are burdened and carry all of the pain and suffering that we've experienced historically in our bodies, right? And in our minds, and what is evident in our day-to-day experience. And so the work has been happening since August. There have been a series of 9 months of workshops with melanin-dominant women, Caucasian women, melanin-dominant men, young people around this work. And what the Centro did this year was not only translate the words and the poetry of Bea Richards, A Black Woman Speaks, but began to have these conversations, unpacking the thematics of trauma and how do we move through this, and putting on top of it the arts and culture experience. So we've done mask making, painting. We created big crochet banners and quilts, finding ways of being empowered through creating creative expressions of that suffering and that power. And so the exhibition that you see is actually a collection of two amazing Black collectors, Kevin Taylor and the Armand Paul family. And you'll see in this exhibition, not only this is the work of Star Kim, we have Dionis Ortiz, we have artists like Carlos Martiel, Zarina Khan, Yu Yon Nam, and that the image that you see right on front is an important one that starts with the Haitian artist that we adore, Gina Arvelo, who really looks at exploring suffering and the search for salvation through connections of lineage, ancestry, and the land of Haiti and Haiti. And we know the dynamic that exists in the Isla of Haiti, which is where Dominican Republic and Haiti, and there's a lot of tension there. And so highlighting all of the pain and being able to bring it to the conversation is something that we were able to do this weekend as part of the symposium, and starting to unpack what does it mean to create economies of social justice, thriving spaces where wellness is discussed, where power is discussed. How do we continue to bring forward people that are doing the work in the community, putting dollars back into the community, doing what Betty herself had wanted, envisioning artists to be able to bring forward the civic discourse that is connected to the art that we create. Because only through doing the art are we able to find our way through this pain.
I mean, this exhibition comes at a time when Black women, we're navigating just so much, right? Also economic instability, maternal health disparities, just rising domestic violence. Michael, help us understand why it was so important for you to step in and help empower communities through creative expression and voice.
Well, it's a long story, I guess is the best way to put it. But I think I've been involved in the arts and supporting community arts organizations and artists for many years in various ways. And I guess most recently, I won't say most recently, but in the last 15 years, I also served as the director of the Harlem Arts Alliance, which did bring me back to my kind of home community now in terms of providing service within the community, and instead of in addition to the broader area or region. But I think that I had been involved and got to know Betty at least at a professional level many years ago. And through the difficulties, I think, of the financial crash of 2009, 2010, and that area, the carnival really suffered. And working with Jose Ortiz, who's also, as Lysandra mentioned, the co-curator of this particular show, and also he is a protege of Betty Blayton Taylor's and grew up here at the carnival as a student and ultimately as an instructor and as a staff member. We were kind of charged, I would say, by Betty to, kind of get the organization back on its feet. Betty left us a beautiful, gorgeous townhouse here on Hamilton Terrace, which is a historic block, one of the most beautiful blocks in New York City. So we encourage people to come and check us out. But this is a labor of love that is connected directly to Betty's vision and her commitment for arts in the community and highlighting, showcasing, centering Black artists and Black families and our community. So as the community evolves, it's important for us to continue that effort. In this particular case, we have developed a very strong relationship over several years with Central. And this was a perfect opportunity to bring this particular show to the community this year. So the show just opened on the 24th, and I think it's scheduled to close in 2 weeks. So we encourage everybody to come and check it out. We are open all weekend and by appointment during the week. We are located at 62 Hamilton Terrace. Our website is at childrensartcarnival.org. So come and check us out. The artwork is absolutely stunning. And also we have a pretty robust program of participatory activities exploring the arts for young people, their families, and for artists.
Michael and Lysandra Ramos, thank you so much for the work that you're doing in the community and for joining us today on The Breakdown.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, coming up after the break, water, power, and control. Candace Kelly and Mondale Robinson break down concerns over North Carolina's water supply and the role of data centers. You won't want to miss this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
They said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat, so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it, they joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased black voters. Their goal, erase black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
Today, for our Black and Missing segment, family and friends are asking for your help in finding Isaac Price. He's been missing since November 12th of 2023. He was last seen in Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. If you have any information about where he could be, please contact 404-546-4235. Well, in case you missed it on Roland Martin Unfiltered, guest host Candace Kelly spoke with leaders about white majority counties possibly hijacking the majority Black counties in North Carolina's water supply. North Carolina Infield Mayor Mondale Robinson and Kelly discuss how data centers are at the center of this water heist.
All right, so North Carolina is currently experiencing a historic drought, raising concerns about the establishment of what are called data centers across the state. Now, these facilities require significant amounts of water to cool their servers, and estimates suggest that a single data center could consume up to 2.5 million gallons of water each day. So in response to these water demands, a local bill is being considered that would allow predominantly white counties to draw water from predominantly black counties to address these particular water shortages. One impacted area is Enfield, North Carolina, and Mayor Mondale Robinson joins us now to talk about everything that's going on. Mayor, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for standing in for Ro as he gets some time to decompress and be with family. So I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, so for people who don't understand what these data centers are, tell me, because it is a huge processing center that needs lots of energy, and that's where the water comes in. How would you explain it on the basic 101 course level?
Listen, for so many reasons, data centers are done improperly and they are bad. They create all types of harms to communities where they are, the noise, the use of water, the diesel energy, all of that to power it. But I would say centering data centers in this moment missed the mark. It would be a local bill if it was just Franklin County trying to pass this at Franklin County. Here's the problem. The bill that we're talking about has made its way to the General Assembly of North Carolina. It is Senate Bill 214, and particularly Section 5, which basically strips the right of North Carolina majority black, three of North Carolina majority black counties, Halifax, which is the county where Enfield rests, 56% black, Warren, and also Vance County. And this white county, Franklin County, which is 70% white, is now saying through their Senate legislation representation that they should have the right to any property, not just water. It says property in that section, and interest in that property through condemnation. So they can condemn any property in these other counties without the consent or approval of elected officials in said counties. This is tragic, and it's also as American as apple pie.
You're right. So when we talk about the history of what white communities take from black communities, this is the apple pie kind of analogy that you've been referring to. What should people know about this bill in terms of whether or not it has support and what you're doing in order to try to fight it in a meaningful way?
Yeah, so right now, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to sound the alarm. This is why I came to roll in first, because if we're talking about how black people hear what's affecting us that the world might not be talking about, this is where we should be at first. So we need people talking about this because this is a civil rights issue. This is a stripping issue also if these conservatives are really concerned about property rights, how are they supporting this? So what I need people to do is to understand that next Tuesday at 4 o'clock, the North Carolina State Senate plans on voting on this issue. And if it passes, it goes to the House. And if it passes the House, it becomes law. Because guess what? It is a local bill at the state level, and North Carolina local bills at the state level that are passed through the legislature do not and prevent the governor from being able to veto it. So even though there's a Democratic governor who may want to veto this bill, he will not have that ability because of how this bill is stricken, and it does not apply to the entire state, just a simple region. This is dangerous, and it's setting a precedent that say that white people who want things can use this tool to take it away from black majority counties. This is disgusting. It is a civil rights fight. It takes away the humanity of my residents and residents in Vance and also throughout the rest of Halifax and Warren County. And we shouldn't sit idle as if this is something small. This is how they are testing what they can do and where they can do it at. So people should understand that this is not a time to be afraid of what's next, because it's here now.
And as you said, this is more than just about a drought. All hands on deck. What do you want people to do right now in order to show their concern, to show their disgust with what's going on?
Yeah, people need to be calling senators in North Carolina, whether they're in North Carolina or not, screaming about how disgusting this is as an act. Why are you trying to take and tell the voters through their representation at the county level in these counties that it does not matter what they want. It does not matter what their wishes are. These white people need something, and it is superior to what you desire and need in your own county.
We're going to bring the panel in now. I know that they have questions for you. I'm joined tonight by Michael Imhotep. He's the host of the African History Network show. Also, Dr. Avis Jones DeWeaver, author and co-founder and editor-in-chief of Max Black Media. And Rebecca Carruthers. She's president and CEO of the Fair Election Center. Rebecca, I want to start with you. Questions for the mayor. I think you're muted.
Good evening, Mayor. What are things that different organizations could do to support you?
Yeah, Rebecca, thank you so much. And I know people may not know this, but Halifax County is one of the poorest counties. It's an old county. It's actually the first place in America that said we want to be free from England. The Halifax Resolve happened well before the Constitution and all of that was written. So people have a deep hunger for freedom. Of course, Black people were not included in that idea of freedom. So what we need from other organizations is to any resources that you can provide to help us sound the alarm about this, any resources to help us get people from Halifax County. We're taking two busloads of people from Halifax County to Raleigh on Tuesday to be there so they can see that this is not sitting well with folk. So anything to help us get the noise out and also provide comfort for folk in this moving them from Halifax County to the capital. We are here for that. And also calling the state legislature and burning up their phones and letting them know, hell no, not on our watch.
All right, Dr. Jones DeWeaver, question.
Yeah, following up on that, I mean, North Carolina is one of those states where you have this split here politically between a governor that one could argue may be more amenable. We're not sure about what's going on at with the legislature, so it's a very split, it's a very purple state. What do you see as your best prospects for being able to get someone to step in and make a change here so that the rights of your citizens and Black citizens specifically can be respected in this manner?
Yeah, and unfortunately for us, the governor, even though he may be amenable to our cries and our harms about this is not only a property right, it is a dehumanizing factor for my people, for Black people, not just in where we are, but across the state. It's showing us that we don't matter as much as our white neighbors. So even if he was amenable, he couldn't do anything because of how this is set up. We need to change these Jim Crow-esque laws so that his grandson, James Crow Esquire, can't continue the long legacy of preventing Black people from having full life. That happens, though, only as a result. I'm sorry, that happens only as a result of elections. We need to rethink and think broader than these gerrymandered districts that prevent Black people from having an accurate voice across our state. We do that by turning out voters that don't normally participate.
That's right. And that's why you are sounding the alarm on this. Let's go to Michael. Michael, question for the mayor.
Hey, Mayor Mondale, good to see you again. So my question is twofold. One, in the state legislature there in North Carolina, could you let us know who controls the state house, who controls the state senate, number one. Number two, what are the justifications? I know you talked about the justifications of those who say own the data centers, but the people in the state legislature that are going to vote for this, right? What are their justifications to say, oh, you can take water from African-American, predominantly African-American counties, okay? But they wouldn't allow the reverse to take place.
Yeah, I mean, we know what the justification is. It's the same justification that told that white man that lived on Pennsylvania at the White House that he could tear down the East Wing without anybody's permission. It is the idea of whiteness and their life matters more than anybody, especially Black people. America has a high tolerance for Black suffering. So I think the justification is just that. America has a history, 400+ year history of making sure white people are comfortable, even if it's at the expense of Black lives. And I think that's where it rests. they would never, not only would they not allow black people to take the resources from this majority white county, they wouldn't even let this county, Franklin, try to take water from Car Lake, and they stopped that and prevented that because white people enjoy that lake. They're fishing, they're swimming, they're hiking and kayaking on that lake, and they said you will not have more access to this lake. So the backup plan, I guess, was, well, you can't have it from this natural resource that we call Car Lake, but you can have it from those black folk down south.
So what at the end of the day does this look like to you in terms of a satisfactory answer to deal with the drought, the water problem? What are your council proposals and what you are telling them needs to be done?
Yeah, I mean, so right now we've done resolutions at the county level, and the town of Enfield done its own resolution. But I think what needs to happen, first of all, we need to do away with this idea that legislators can pass things without the governor having the right to veto it. That is as old and as racist as the filibuster in the United States Senate. We need to get rid of that thing too, that tool too. But what is a satisfaction action at this moment is that, one, all legislators that are elected by the people of North Carolina vote against this, even the person who introduced it. They need to shoot this down and say that we will not ever tell residents in North Carolina that your rights are sub to someone else's right simply because somebody wants to make $1.
All right. Remind us once again of the vote is taking place next week. Give us the time, details once again before we go.
April the 28th, Tuesday at 4 p.m. at the Raleigh Capitol. It'll take place, and we're trying to pack it out with people from these counties to make sure that they know that it is bad.
All right, Mayor, I want to thank you so much. Listen, without people like you, we would not know about this because these aren't headlines that are across the country. You are the one that are making these things happen. So we will have you back on to get an update, I'm sure, as I'm sure there will be one. All right, hopefully it will go your way. Thank you and good to see you.
You too.
Well, be sure to tune in tonight to Roland Martin Unfiltered for all the latest news impacting our community. That starts at 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back right after a quick break. But please, I just want to take this moment to note that we really appreciate your support, and anything that you give us is critical to what we do. You can support us via Cash App using the Stripe code. There it is in the bottom left-hand corner. You can also help us out with credit cards. Use the same thing. PayPal's are Martin Unfiltered. Venmo's RM Unfiltered. Zelle at RolandSMartin.com. Rolling at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And if you're old school, you could send us a check or a money order. It's all payable to Roland Martin. P.O. Box 57196 in Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Stay with us. Still more to come here on The Breakdown. We'll be right back.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Bria Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
Violent white supremacy is, quote, the most persistent and lethal threat in the homeland.
The greatest terrorist threat to the homeland is the homegrown violence stream, including hate crime committed on behalf of some kind of white supremacist ideology.
They are coming after everything in Black America. MAGA and Donald Trump are specifically targeting Black America. They are going after the money. Attack Black Lives Matter. Attack critical race theory, attack woke, DEI. MAGA wants to defund Black America. This is a perfect example of their desire to completely degrade and de-emphasize Black people.
I'm Swing Cash, Basketball Hall of Famer, and you're watching Black Star Network.
Today on The Breakdown, we're highlighting a mother who is turning her personal journey into a powerful community impact. We're featuring Kim Cresswell, founder of J Steppin' for Autism, an organization dedicated to supporting families and raising awareness about autism. Kim, thank you for joining us today on The Breakdown.
Thank you so much for having me, Brittany. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Kim. Let's begin with sharing your story. How did your journey as a parent lead you to create J Steppin' for Autism?
Yes, ma'am. So J Steppin' for Autism was founded in honor of my son, Jackson, who is autistic. He was diagnosed in 2020 during the middle of the pandemic, but focus obviously shifted to my son versus COVID. And what came from his diagnosis after a year of just kind of primarily focusing on him, I did a toy drive for the kiddos at the ABA clinic he attended, and that led to Jackson's Gift, the Gift of Play. In 2023, we did an autism awareness and acceptance walk, and hence J Steppin' for Autism was fully born. Our awareness is out there. So many people are being diagnosed, or should I say children are being diagnosed, and adults too. And so now it's about acceptance and inclusion. So that's my primary focus with J Steppin' for Autism, plus making some kids smile at Christmas time with some additional toys.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you faced early on? Just how did those experiences shape your mission today?
So my biggest challenge, my son is actually nonverbal. So that's a scary thing as a parent. He can't tell me if he's sick. He doesn't even quite understand a lot of it. He can't tell me if he got hurt or someone hurt him. So that's like the scariest thing for me. However, working with his team, and he has an amazing team with his medical and educational. And as a parent, you have to advocate for your kids regardless. I just have to take it a step further because I'm his voice. He's my heart, I'm his voice, and I'm always going to be his voice. And so that kind of spearheaded some of his like pediatricians and other members of his team to reach out to me to speak to other moms, to kind of help and guide or give, what happened with me to maybe show them a different way and give some advice as a mom of a kid with autism. So my mission is just continue to be being his voice while bringing acceptance, awareness to other moms, other families, caregivers, and those that may not know too much about autism, and then help some kids smile at the end of the year at Christmas.
Kim, for families who may be navigating autism and a new diagnosis right now, anything that you really want them to understand?
First off, I would tell families that the way they're feeling is okay. When my son was born, or when I found out I was pregnant with my son, you envision, how life is going to be with your child, what sports is he going to be in, prom, the girls, which I was not ready for, but with his diagnosis, and then on top of that, the speech delay, it kind of like took me to a whole different place, and I grieved of the life I thought I would have with my son. So know that that's okay. All the feelings you're going to have, the fears, It's okay. Just be kind to yourself, and also I would suggest talking to having a good communication and a good relationship with the medical team, getting the supports that they need, because every kid is different. I know some families whose children are receiving not only ABA, but they're getting speech, they're getting occupational and other various therapies. My son right now is just speech. He does get some ABA, but it's a spectrum. So definitely build those relationships with the people who knows about it. Advocate for your kid because you know your child. And then thirdly, let the support system be there. Let them help because you're going to need it. We want to be, and we're going to be super mom, super dad. But we need to also allow those that love us to love up on us, if that makes sense. So.
Oh, it does make sense. Absolutely. I mean, that's really what your organization is all about, right? The work that you're doing. What kind of impact are you seeing?
You know, the biggest, I think, I would say the toys, obviously, because I get to see the kids' faces and the joy it seems to bring, even though they may have the best Christmas, they're getting one more toy and they actually get to pick it out themselves. I've partnered with the Easter Seals the past 2 years for their Milk and Cookies event. And to see the kids get to come in, they come straight to my table and they literally get to pick out what they want. And when I see those smiles, it lets me know this is why I'm doing this. This is why God gave me this experience to be in the lives or to cause such an impact with other kids. Another thing I would say is speaking to other moms once their kid receives the diagnosis, to be able to share my story and maybe offer some hope or encouragement. Like the feeling is beyond, it's just an amazing thing. So
I know that what you do is necessary because there are still gaps that exist in the system when it comes to access and resources and support. Can you tell us about what needs to happen to make it a bit easier for families?
I think so. That's where the acceptance piece for me comes in at. The first thing is getting our kiddos and adults diagnosed. There's like long wait lists for even an evaluation. So I think that should be a focus first, is to get those that have, if you have a parent that's experiencing delayed in their milestones or they're seeing their kid not reaching their milestones, there shouldn't be a year-long wait list for an evaluation. So we need to kind of fix that piece. And then once we get our kids diagnosed, then the supports need to come into place. It's very expensive too, because of all the different therapies that your child may need, and or say you have, your income is not low enough, but then some of the services are still too expensive, even for that. So all those type of things need to be viewed, because the focus should be getting the kids the support they need, not, oh, you make too much or you don't make enough, or we can't, get you in for this just yet. Like, you're causing delays and our kids deserve better. So it needs to be talks across the boards with our schools, government, like the focus, like it needs to be a mutual team effort to kind of help our kids get to be better. Because the one thing I preach and I say to my son is autism is a part of you, but it does not define who you are. So that's what needs to be done, in my opinion. And parents, step up, speak, let them know.
Well, you have a fun walk coming up on June 6th. Tell us a little bit more about how we can support.
Yes, so show up. It's a free event. My goal is 100 walkers. I've reached almost 70 the past 3 years. My goal is just 100 walkers. We're going to get together. We're going to get together, walk the track. We have a DJ. This year, I have a couple of community partners that are going to be there. St. Louis ARC, Latitude Therapy, and Autism Support Now. And hopefully that number grows. They're going to talk about the services and supports that they provide to our kids, just because there are some families that don't even know they're out there. So I'm just trying to get some community partners that can show our families that we're here for you. How can we help? But it's going to be a fun event. It's going to be a fun event. We get together, we laugh, we've cried in some instances. But once the DJ gets going, everyone's walking or they're dancing, getting snacks. So it's a great event. And so everyone can go to jstepin4 autism.org and they can get registered today.
Kim Cresswell, thank you so much for sharing your story and for all the work that you're doing in our community.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, we're talking with Jamal Shabazz about the Black Summer Youth Program at the Riley Youth Community Center. That's in Indianapolis, and how he's using Black history and community to empower young people here in the Midwest. Stay with us.
Decade of love, joy, and power. Black Voters Matter is 10 years old, and we are just getting started. This is love with a purpose. This is Black joy in motion. This is unstoppable power. Across campuses, neighborhoods, and back roads, let's go. We show up not just to vote, but to be seen, to be heard, to belong. We ride together. We organize together. We remind each other that our voices matter, because they always have. Black Voters Matter is about more than ballots. It's about housing and healthcare, clean water and living wages, education, reproductive freedom, and dignity. It's about turning pain into action, turning belief into movement, turning community into power. We don't wait to be invited. We bring the energy. We bring the love. We bring the people. Because when Black communities come together, we don't just survive, we thrive. This is how change happens. This is how history moves. We organize, we build, we win.
Welcome back to The Breakdown. Joining me now is Jamal Shabazz, founder of the Black Summer Youth Program at the Riley Youth Community Center and creator of a Black History board game designed to educate, empower, and inspire the next generation. Brother Shabazz, thank you for being with us today.
Peace and liberation. Pleasure's all mine. Thank you for having me.
Let's begin with the vision. What inspired you to create the Black Summer Youth Program?
So I'm 28 years old. Served 5 years active duty in U.S. Army from 18 to 23 years old. While I was in the service, I didn't like doing Army, things, but I met people from innumerable geographical locations. And, being a young man, 18 and 19, when I started reading these books, I saw other brothers and sisters from the South reading books while I was in the service. They led me to, obtain a plethora of Afrocentric and Black-focused books, literature, other works and materials. And it gave me not just the information, but inspiration to think outside the box, to create my board game, my app, my lectures and speeches, viral videos and content on social media, my youth programs across the state of Indiana. Right now, I have a contract for the Riley Community Center, but, I'm at different community centers, educational facilities, and schools across the state. But yeah, adding modern contemporary elements to what the ancestors taught us, and providing solutions to how we can liberate ourselves as Black Indo-African people on an international global aspect and scale.
We hear a lot about gaps in education, especially when it comes to how Black history is taught. So tell us
Mhm.
how your program works to fill those gaps for young people here in the Midwest.
So you have to add modern and contemporary elements and meet the needs and speak the language of the youth today. With all due respect, there's a lot of organizations that are out here. They have a great presence in person, but they're not doing things in a modern lens or a modern approach. So then, I mean, you're not going to get the youth. You got to do things like I created an app, right? I have my physical knowledge of board game and my app that teaches you Black history and Black culture. So kids like iPads, like apps. So I made an app to where they can laugh and learn, get a thorough education, and be entertained simultaneously. Um, my content on social media, kids are always on TikTok and Instagram.
Mhm.
So I talk about self-discovery, history, and instilling and fostering a grand sense of community in a palatable way or a digestible way. I use this, lingo and dialogue that the youth uses, young adults use. And I also incorporate some elements from pivotal notable Black figures. I have over 200 books in my collection. I'll retouch sentiments from Malcolm X, Bell Hooks, Toni Morrison, Martin Luther King, Patrice Lumumba, all these pivotal, notable Black figures, to where they can get the information, the inspiration, and they're having fun at the same time. And they're thinking about their conditions, circumstances, and phenomena, and how they can improve their situations and predicaments. So we don't just want better for ourselves, we actually get better for ourselves and establish new world making abilities as well.
And talk to us about the impact. What kind of changes have you seen some of the youth go through that have been a part of your program?
Yes, one of the things that I definitely put painstaking attention or focus on is them having that internal esteem together.
Mhm.
Um, with social media and how society is today, uh, it maneuvers people, socializes people to adopt this individual mindset and way of doing things. But us as Black or African people, if you look at history, we've only thrived when we've had our grand sense of community together, ethno aggregation, communal activity, and unity. So that's one thing I teach the kids. Hey, whatever you're great at, your unique talents, abilities, and skill sets, find a way to help your situation, and then figure out a way how you can help your people with that as well. Form it and turn it and morph it into something sustainable for yourself. Then how can you help other people with that? I start off with the communication skills, because this ain't even kids. This is just people in general. They're not able to gather and complete a single thought without saying after every other word. They can't look somebody in the eyes when they're talking to them. Um, you know, things like that, the basics, and then they'll be able to develop and foster, other skills in different areas or industries.
For parents who may be watching right now, what do you want them to understand about the importance of having culturally grounded education and spaces like this for kids?
First of all, ma'am, that is a black-tastic question asked in a black-tastic fashion. So thank you, mighty Black woman. I would tell the parents, I'm 28, I don't have any kids yet. Hopefully one day, find me a black-tastic queen, little goddess, have me some kids. But I would say to the parents, you gotta actually listen to them, and don't try to be you could be caring and nurturing and get to your child's level, but don't speak to them in a condescending manner. Take time to truly understand your child, get to know them. Don't just assume you know everything about them just because that's your child. And understand that every group of people has its own wants, needs, interests, and concerns. We've adopted a lot of maladaptive and dysfunctional behaviors as Black people since the transatlantic slave trade on a universal context and scale. So we have to understand that there are certain things that work for Black people that may not work for this group of people. This may work for all groups of people, but then this may not work, may work. So there are certain things that work for us that don't work for others. Uh, uh, we can't depend on non-Black institutions to properly educate our child if these institutions and systems were never created to help us advance us in the first place, the initial causes and factors of them. So we have to lean on ourselves to educate our own kids. I mean, you got time to get your hair done every week and get your nails done. Fellas, y'all be on the Xbox and PlayStation every week. You got time for that. You run a hoop session at the Y, and you got money to place on these sport apps that you never hit on, them parlays. So you got time and money to invest in your child. And if not, bring them my way. You know, my board game restocks at the end of June because it just sold out. You can download my app on your phone for free so you can laugh and learn. Or follow me on Instagram and TikTok so you can get some education and you can laugh in a blacktastic fashion.
And tell us a little bit more about how we can stay connected with you.
Most definitely. If you Google brother Jamal Shabazz, the Blacktastic brother himself, me, will pop right up. You can follow me on Instagram, Mall317. You can Google brother Jamal on TikTok. I'll pop up in the Blacktastic fashion. Check out my lectures and speeches on YouTube. I gave a lecture at the University of Indianapolis, Marion University recently. And you know, I'm a proud product of Naptown, Far East Side, Indianapolis. So if you're in Indianapolis, you definitely gonna see me in your neighborhood every other weekend.
And you said your board game has already sold out.
Yes, ma'am. My board game recently sold out about a month ago, but due to my most recent partnership, because again, I work with different community organizations, community centers, and educational facilities, it restocks at the end of June, thanks to the investment from the Riley Community Center from my youth program and to get more board games. So if you tap in with me, you might be able to get you one at the end of June. Mighty Black Men and Mighty Black Women.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Rhea Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.